Hello, guys, and welcome back to Are You For Real? This is episode 5. Right, obviously, by now, if you do watch this, you'll know what we do. We look at 4 formats of the game, players, coaches. Hopefully, in the future, we can do stadiums, loads of different things. And give our opinion of what we think, what order, and as to why. Today, obviously, is quite easy. You can see we've got David De Gea, Alisson, Schmeichel, and Ederson. This isn't going to be easy either, is it?
No, it's not going to be an easy one. Again, like we pointed out with the striker ones, we've based it on the last 3 years, and we're also going for the assumption of also what they can offer going forward for also about the next 3 years.
3 years,
before one of us gives our fourth choice, guys, remember to hit that like button, remember to comment, and also, most importantly, hit that subscribe button, please.
Yeah. Disclaimer, I'm just going to say this again. All of these keepers are amazing. From Schmeichel, if he was at City or United, they'd still be doing as well as they are. And, the same goes for the other 3.
Let's just put it out there. We actually had a bit of trouble actually picking the 4 keepers in the first place, in case people want to know it should be Martinez, or I actually argued the point that it should be Leno in there, but
we put a poll on Twitter and Leno was the last one. I can't believe you wanted Leno in this list over Schmeichel, which was crazy anyway. So, saying that, although I've said that, I do think Schmeichel is 4th for me.
So have you gone for it? That really? Okay.
And I love Schmeichel. I'm one of his biggest defenders when it comes to top keepers. I think he's so underrated. So underrated. I think Chelsea should have gone for him before they went for Kepa. You wouldn't have had to have spent anywhere near 75 million. He could have replaced De Gea at United. Schmeichel's not as young as people think. But, he's got the lowest save percentage. I know that doesn't mean everything, but out of these 4 keepers, David De Gea was the best goalkeeper in the world for 2 or 3 years. Wasn't he United's player of the season 3 years running? Definitely for 2 of those seasons. I know that. They would have been 7th or 8th when they were under Jose and Van Gaal if it wasn't for De Gea. So, and I think the other 2 speak for themselves. So for me, Schmeichel's 4th, although I do love him as a keeper.
Yeah, interestingly, I suppose you've touched on, the fact that Schmeichel probably would have been a good replacement if De Gea did go to Madrid. He probably would have been a good replacement if, Chelsea before they brought Kepa. For you, is there any particular reason he's not found a top team, or do you think it's one of them?
It's just that mentality thing, isn't it? We'll go and spend 70 million in an average team in Spain, which was it Bilbao? Have I got that right? Did he come from? Kepa? Was it Bilbao?
I think it was, yeah.
Bilbao. Or rather than spending 40 million on Schmeichel and getting him or something like that. I don't know. It's just this weird thing that top Premier League clubs refuse to dive down in the lower table of the Premier League. And we've already said this in previous videos. Palace, Everton, these types of teams do very well in other leagues across Europe. So, maybe Leicester doesn't sound as sexy as Atletico Bilbao. That's why. It's just an odd one.
To be fair, those to Schmeichel, I think maybe I was a touch disrespectful there, saying he's not at a top team now. Leicester, particularly the last few seasons, have been battling for those European places. Obviously, going into a top 4, hopefully for them this year. So yeah, I've actually gone for De Gea as my 4th choice. I don't know. It was one that I've really battled over which one I'd want to put 3rd and which I'd want to put 4th out of the 2. I've actually gone for Kasper Schmeichel 3rd. Let me explain the difference between the 2 of why I've put De Gea 4th. If we were basing this on his whole time in the Premier League, De Gea is probably a lot higher up that list. If we're basing it on the last 3 years, I don't think you can consider him a top keeper the last 3 years. I really don't, particularly the last two. And we've seen this in a way that, like, okay, he's played 24 out of 29 games this season in the Prem, but, you know, he's really battling to keep his place with Henderson now, obviously.
I think a lot of that, though, you have to remember Henderson's probably the best backup keeper of any other team in the league. Henderson's a top keeper, probably England's number one now. Name another team that has someone fighting as good quality as that. You'd probably have to go back to Martinez last season at Arsenal.
Yeah, I do have to agree. It was really fine margins, and if you put up a really good case, you could probably convince me to almost switch on this one. I was really battling with myself. As you've said, you know, De Gea's actually got the best save percentage out of all four of the keepers. To be honest, marginally.
Marginally, yeah.
Very marginally, but he has, yeah. But neither of them have got bad save percentages. One thing that I really found interesting, right, is De Gea and Schmeichel, obviously over their time in the Premier League, have faced the same amount of penalties. Schmeichel saved 5 of them. De Gea's only saved 2.
Yeah, that's a stat I looked at all of them, and Ederson and Alisson's penalty percentage is not good. I think over the last 3 years, I think Ederson has saved 0 out of 13 penalties or something stupid like that. And I think Alisson's only 1 penalty save over the last 3 years. They're not brilliant.
No, they're not, no. But just a real marginal difference.
I've actually gone De Gea third, so he's not that much higher for me.
That's all right, then.
Yeah, I could be convinced that those two should be swapped around. If this was the 3 years before, De Gea is probably number 1 in the world.
He is, yeah.
But yeah, the last 3, I think he's still been very, very good. He just hasn't been able to reach the heights that he set pre the 2018 World Cup, because he was putting in man of the match performances week in, week out for a good 18 months. You go back to the saves against Arsenal, that double save with his feet, or there was a save he pulled off against Wolves. Obviously being a Wolves fan, I remember it. I think it was Neves, and he plucked a save out of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's very close. I mean, it's close for all of them. Someone could put a really good argument as to why Schmeichel should be top. You know, would he have a better percentage save or a clean sheet ratio if he was in that City team? Maybe.
Interesting, one thing again that I didn't mention that separated these two was the fact that we said at the start of the video we're also going to look forward to the next 3 years. Obviously, we'd say all 4 of these players have obviously got 3 years left in them. Obviously with Schmeichel and I think De Gea being the oldest of the two. Going forward, I just feel Schmeichel's going to have more to offer in a team than De Gea. That was just another reason why, for me, Schmeichel just tipped it.
It's a hard one with goalkeepers, isn't it? I mean, look at Buffon. I mean, you just don't know. De Gea could go to Real Madrid next season, or say this summer, be there for 4 years and win 2 Champions Leagues. You just don't know. It's a hard one with goalkeepers. It's the most difficult position for me to analyze because they don't have as much of an in terms of an influence minute by minute compared to like a right back or a centre back, but they are scrutinised the most, so it's difficult. For me, second, I've gone Ederson.
Okay, we've gone the wrong way. We've gone differently on these as well. I've actually gone for Alisson second.
Yeah, is it just because of more of what Ederson offers with his feet for you personally?
That is part of it. Yeah.
I think Alisson's been shaky this season, but Liverpool has
that was another team. Part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's made a lot of mistakes, and you could say, oh, has he been masked because he's had Van Dijk and Gomez and Matip for so long in front of him? But Alisson does have, over the last 3 years, in the Premier League alone, he's got the highest save percentage. Now, I think when you're facing so few shots, that concentration level to stay switched on is a big thing. I mean, I love Ederson. He's obviously one of the best in the world with playing out from the back and getting attacks started and that kind of thing. I've just gone for Alisson because he's done it in the big games against City in the Champions League, against Barcelona. I know he conceded 3 at the Nou Camp, but that free kick from Messi, no one's saving. In the leg against at Anfield, he made some big saves in that game. And I think until Ederson does it in the big stages, Champions League finals, semi-finals, I've got to go Alisson because he's got the league and the Champions League there.
Could you argue, though, it's not really Ederson's fault that they didn't reach a Champions League final? I mean, especially when you look back to maybe the Tottenham one, where that would be the 2019 final, wouldn't it? Where, that's probably not really down to Ederson.
So now, didn't he? Well, the year that Liverpool knocked them out of the Champions League, didn't he give the ball to Salah, who chipped him from like 40 yards? Or was that the league? No, I think that was the Champions League, yeah. He tried to clear the ball, completely mishit it. It lands at Salah. Salah puts it in the back of the net. It was very similar to what he did against United when he tried to roll the ball out to the left back. I think it was Zinchenko, and McTominay came on and scored. And so, listen, all keepers make mistakes. And when you do make a mistake in goal, it gets highlighted a lot more than a striker or, a centre-back or whatever the case may be. But I've just had to give it Alisson just because he's won the big trophy. And he keeps Ederson out of the Brazil squad. They play Alisson. I mean, Brazil's keeper depth, which is something that they have not been known for in history, is out of this world.
If Alisson gets injured, it's just like, we'll just get Ederson on instead.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost rivals Germany's. The Germany's is ridiculous, but Brazil's is wow. I've had to give it Alisson just because he gets the nod of Brazil. He's got the Champions League, a final that he lost, a Premier League. So, yeah, although I do love Alisson, he's part of the reason why Pep could play this type of football, and we've seen this season that Alisson isn't actually that good with his feet.
No. As you said, you made some good points there. He obviously has the highest save percentage in the league. You also mentioned on the fact that he's Brazil's number one choice, obviously above Ederson. But I did marginally go for Ederson, and it is marginally. Since being at City, and of course this is down to a number of factors, clean sheet 49.2%, which is just ridiculous. That's nearly 1 every 2 games he's going to get a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. I mean, a lot of that would be from this season, the partnership of Diaz and Stones. I actually don't have that figure. Do you know what Alisson's is, by any chance?
Alisson's isn't bad at all. It's 44%.
So, yeah, I mean, that would be a lot higher had Van Dijk have been fit this season, you'd like to think. So
yeah, I imagine this season has brought it down a lot, and not even massively. Van Dijk. They've had about 8 different centre-back partnerships. So, it is one of them, isn't it? Stats don't always tell the full picture. But for me, it was Ederson's distribution, and it's not just with his feet. He's got a much higher percentage of throw-outs compared to the other keepers.
Oh, I see. Okay. I know he's got
another interesting one. There is a part negative, though, in that he can overcommit a bit. We saw that. Was it the challenge on Mane? Was it? I can't remember if that was a season or 2 seasons ago. And
I think Mane got sent off for that, didn't it? It's when they lost 5-0. But I know what you mean. Ederson, he will come out for balls that you think maybe he shouldn't.
There's been a few times, and obviously, as you said, Mane, got sent off. But there's been a few times with Ederson where he's maybe committed that bit too much. Interestingly, had 8 yellow cards since being in the Premier League.
It's a lot for a goalkeeper, isn't it?
Which is another interesting one to kind of back that up. Interestingly, me liking my stats, I had a look at that, and that's 4.8% of the games he plays, he picks up a yellow card, which for me as a goalkeeper is quite hilarious, to be honest. But no, look, I think as you've touched on, his distribution is integral to the way Pep plays. I think there's so many limited keepers. I mean, it would be a criticism of Leno in a way as well, because you've seen Arteta, obviously a product of Guardiola, come out and try and play that kind of football with Arsenal, which has been a bit questionable at times with the players he's had, but it's worked a bit more. But you do see Leno a bit more awkward on that ball, and having Ederson really helps Guardiola play that kind of passing out from the back, and it's quite a rarity to find a keeper that plays football that well. I mean, we've seen a couple of times. I can't remember, was it the cup? Was it that he actually went for the penalty in recent times?
Yeah, who was it that
Penalty,
was?
yeah.
Someone was telling him no, just because he ran down almost past the halfway line, didn't he? And someone had to say,
Yeah.
just leave it. I mean, obviously, any keeper that they would have got as a replacement for Claudio Bravo, he was good playing with his feet, but the problem was he just made mistakes monthly, it seemed. For me, I've had to go Alisson, obviously, for the reasons I've stated. Brazil's number one. He's done it on the European stage. He's done it in the Premier League. Not a lot separates them. As I say, I mean, someone could present me a very good argument as to why De Gea should be top. Look how well. I think United are up there in terms of their defending this season, in terms of clean sheets and amount of goals conceded. And look at what he's got in front of him, Harry Maguire and Lindelof. So if someone was to present me a very good argument as to why De Gea should be second or even first, I could be swayed. But for me, I've gone Schmeichel, De Gea, Ederson, Alisson.
Yeah, I mean, let us know what you think of our rankings guides. And yeah, as James said, if you have got an argument that someone like De Gea should be top, or even Schmeichel should be top, or just think we've got one of the orders completely wrong, let us know in the comments below. And please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.